Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dead Man's Chest is the second film in the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. But let's talk about this movie. This movie, of course, stars Johnny Depp again, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley, and also has some other little twists along the way, and also stars Bill Nye as Davy Jones, which is a very interesting villain. I rewatched this film, because as I'm rewatching all the other Pirates of the Caribbean films, I have a review for the first one out as well. And I really, really enjoy Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man's Chest. I just think this is a quite an underrated sequel. It's not as good as the first one, but it has a lot of really great moments. Let's talk about some of the issues I have with it first. And just like the first one, there is a point in the middle where it just slows down in the pace, where they're on a ship to somewhere, and it really slows down. Here it's able to put a little bit more character moments in, but there's like a 20-minute chunk of this film, because it is longer than the first one, where it just really slows down in the pace. And that was a big problem for me, and it just really slows down in that pace in the middle act. Nothing much is happening, but the first act and the third act are great. The opening of the movie, I think, is done pretty well. It's a little choppy in the opening, but when it gets going, it goes really, really well. We see Jack on the island and everything like that. It's really, really fun. I love his introduction here. He just comes out of that coffin. It's really, really cool. This movie is a lot darker than the first one, which I appreciate. It still has a lot of the really great humor, but it's a lot darker, which is what I appreciated about it. But sometimes the tones just don't mesh they don't mesh as well as they could do. And they're sometimes a bit tonally inconsistent, because there'll be like a really intense scene with Davy Jones intimidating someone, and then it'll go to Jack doing something extremely silly, singing about something about a jar of dirt, which I love that line. I think it's great.
I'll handle this, mate. Hey, fish face! Do something? Hey, Scungili! Got it! Come to negotiate, eh? Have you, you slimy git? Look what I got. I got a jar of dirt. I got a jar of dirt. And guess what's inside it?
I really enjoy that moment, but there's just a little bit of a toning issue there that I'm not a big fan of. Also, the plot of this movie. I love the metaphorical stuff in it with Davy Jones's heart and putting it in the locker, and I love a lot of the metaphors done with that entire story. But there's a lot of really, really bland plot conveniences in this movie, where it's like they will find something and it will lead into this, or they'll be there, and you know, a lot of plot conveniences, which I don't mind in movies, but not when they're overused, and here it's a little bit overused. There's also a few story elements that the pacing just feels a bit rushed. There's a scene where Will is on a ship, and then the next scene he's on another ship, and it just doesn't show how he got to that other ship in any form of way. How did he go on this other ship? If it just showed us like a little moment of him getting on a boat, there's a few moments like that where it just cuts to something, another part of the story, and it's like, well, how did that progress to that? And sometimes it can be a little irritating, and that's about my issues out with the way with Dead Man's Chest. I think this is an extremely fun film. Let's talk about Davy Jones for a minute. I think the CGI of him is great. I think this is a better directed film than the first one, especially with the action sequences. There's a lot more CGI used, but it's pretty great CGI for 2006, so I was quite surprised with how actually good the visual effects look in this movie, and they look really great. It's a really well shot film, and they do use enough practical effects as well. But so I do really like Davy Jones in the movie. I think he's a good villain, and they set up good things with him, I think. The third one wastes him just a little bit, but I do like him in this film. We also get another villain, Beckett, who's sort of like the English evil man. And, you know, he's pretty bland. I don't really care about him very much. He's not really intimidating. He's a bit silly. He just wants what everyone else is looking for, and he's just like an extra little villain in the mix. I like him in the next movie, but in this movie he feels completely useless to the film, to be honest. They do a lot of stuff. They do a lot of good stuff with what they do with Elizabeth and Will in this film, and developing their relationship a little bit more. And I really do like that, but they don't do enough as they could. One thing I also really do appreciate about Dead Man's Chest is just the way they place all the different characters in the film. Because, of course, you have, and each of them have motives of why they want certain things. I also love the Kraken. I think that's an awesome design of a creature, and it's great to see that in some really intense sequences towards the end of the film. And the first and the third acts are very, very action-heavy, and they're great. But I really do like where they put the characters in this film. Of course, you have Will and his father, who have a little bit of a connection. You have Jack, who's sort of dealing with his own mortality in some more way, which I really appreciate. And I like where they take all the characters. And we do get a little bit of development for Jack during this film. We learn a bit more about, you know, maybe he isn't that nice of a person. And I like that. He is sort of a scummy pirate. and I like seeing a lot darker side to these characters than what we originally saw. Let's talk about the action sequences, because here they're a lot more epic than the first one, and there are a lot of really great horror sequences incorporated into here, but also these action sequences are so fun. There's a great, hilarious sequence with Jack on an island at the start of the film. I think you know what I'm about, and they're using the big hamster balls and swinging around and rolling around. Really fun action sequence. Also, this movie includes one of my favourite sword fights of all time. I just love this sword fight. It goes on to the level of absurdity where they're basically swinging their swords on top of a wheel and Jack is spinning inside the wheel. It's extremely enjoyable, and these action sequences, these big action sequences, they all come in context with the characters. You're like, well, his character's going to side with him? Who's going to side with who? What's happening? You know, are they going to get this thing? Where is this thing that's in this other thing? Have they got the key to get in this other thing? You know, are these people going to side with these people? There's a lot of really great drama stuff going on within these action sequences, making them far much more exciting. You also have the incredible score, and I'm glad that Hans Zimmer came in to do the score, because he does an excellent job, a lot better job with the score than in the first movie, and I absolutely love it. Another pro I do have with this film is that it has a little bit of emotion and tension set up. Let's talk about the ending, and I'm going to get into spoilers now if you have not seen The Dead Man's Chest. And I love the ending of this film. You have Barbossa walking in. What a big shock first time seeing that. I remember being a bit shocked first time I saw that scene. And I like the way they set this up. They have a little bit of drama tension set between Will and Elizabeth, which is good. And I really appreciate this entire ending. It sets up for the next adventure really, really well. So the next one could basically take place straight after, which I like how these adventures progress and this trilogy progresses. I do think it's worse than the first one. I don't think it's as good, but it still is extremely enjoyable. I really like this film. It's able to put a dark tone in there by still having a lot of humour. This is just a big epic pirates adventure, and it's extremely fun. This movie is just really fun. I think it's underrated. I think it's a good sequel. It has more issues than the first one, has more plot inconveniences, but I really like the way they take the characters in this movie. There's a lot of really fun sequences. It slows down in the middle. I think all the Pirates films slow down a little bit in the middle. It's just a trait they all have for some reason. But I still really enjoy Dead Man's Chest. It's probably my second favourite in the franchise after the first one. I'm going to give Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dead Man's Chest, a B+. I'm also going to give this movie an 8 out of 10. I do really like this film, and stay tuned for my review of The World's End coming soon. Guys, comment down below your opinions on Dead Man's Chest if you have seen it, and of course, thanks for watching, and goodbye.